Hello, and welcome to the second episode of Doctors and Dragons, a real play Dungeons and Dragons podcast. My name is CJ, I am your humble DM for this evening, and tonight I bring to you another star-studded cast of doctors in training, and just all-around good people as we play through the Wizards of the Coast module, Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. Previously, our heroes met aboard the ship the Set Course. As an undead dragon attacked their airship, they came together in order to fight it off. And although they were unsuccessful in defeating the beast, they were able to escape with the deft use of the Featherfall spell. They landed on Stormwreck Isle. And even as they landed, they were approached by yet another undead, a zombie. Seeing a crossbow bolt fly past their heads into the zombie's face, they were confronted by the sight of a kobold tinkerer and a strange man in a trench coat. As the kobold convinced them to ascend the cliffs of Stormwreck Isle to meet their elder, they saw a blue portal come into being. And for that reason, we cut to our new character, Christy. We zoom in moments earlier. On a humble bookshop, we see a figure seated outside the bookshop at a table with a pile of very carefully made and detailed books with hand-drawn covers and quill-written ink on vellum. Who do we see sitting at that table? And who are you?
So I'm Calliope. I am a tiefling bard whose goal in life is to write the ultimate masterpiece book that will become a bestseller throughout all of Faerun. Right now, she's outside the bookstore trying to get anyone to come by and buy her book. It's going, "You, sir, you look like you know the quality of a good book. Come, how many copies can I put you down for? 3? 4, you say? Come on down."
And you see the old man approaches and he sort of bends over the stall and looks at the book and he's like, "Oh, yes, it's a good cover, very eye-catching." And he picks the book up. What do we see on the cover of this book, this first book that Calliope has attempted to write?
Yeah, so on the cover, there's a illustration of an adventurer fighting a ferocious red dragon. So, as follow, one of her big inspirations would say, every good story needs a dragon.
And we can see that it's a beautiful cover. Like, the detail is just absolutely perfect. And the old man sort of looks at it and he sort of picks up and has a look at the blurb on the back and thumbs through a few pages and just sort of puts it down. It's like, "Oh, maybe I'll come back later. I've just got to go to the bank." He trundles off.
You don't want to miss out. By the time you've gone shopping, they might be all done. Gone.
Do you want to give me a charisma roll? Give me a charisma persuasion check.
Sure thing. Where are we? Persuasion. Oops, hang on. Rolling. Right, roll. There we go. That should roll. 8.
8. And you see the old man sort of looks at you and he sort of looks at the cover and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he sort of starts trundling off. And as you're sitting there, and we can see there's like maybe 9 to 10 books stacked high there. And we see another figure comes up, and this is someone in their 20s, perfectly straight blonde hair, very crisp button-up blouse, sort of prim and proper demeanor, comes up and sort of picks up a book and says, "Calliope, what's this drivel you've been writing?" And this is your rival around the town, Betty Sue.
Oh, you know drivel. That's what comes out of your pen. I only write the most eloquent of stories, the most inspirational, enthralling tomes you'll ever see.
And we see she sort of looks at the book and looks up at the store name and she says, "Well, I'll tell you what, I sold Mimics," and you can see it's spelt Mimics, Mymocks. I sold Mimics, the bookstore, over 1,000 copies of my book. Daddy had it printed on his fancy new rune press. Very successful, if I might say. How many copies have you sold?
You know, it doesn't count when people buy your books for use of toilet paper.
And Betty Sue just sort of puffs her nose and sort of walks over to a drinking fountain nearby, just sort of plunks herself down and pulls out a little cucumber sandwich and starts nibbling on it and sort of observes you from a distance. And as that happens, we see two people come out of the store. We see your old gran, and we see your former employer, a historian. And we see both of them trundle over, and this is your old boss, historian Tamajan Sorak, and your grandma. And they both sort of sit down with you and say, your grandma taps you on the shoulder and says, "Look, kiddo, it's a great cover. Don't get me wrong. Cover, absolutely beautiful. Can't fault the cover." And the historian says, "Yes, cover, fantastic cover. And everyone loves a good dragon." And they sort of lean into you and they say, "It's just sometimes the best stories are the ones you've lived in the real world. The real stories you've gathered out there in Adventureland. And I just wonder if you might want to explore beyond this town. Have you ever thought of that?"
I mean, of course, as you've always said, right from what you know, but without being able to sell too many books, I don't have the money to do much adventuring.
And as you say that, you hear the sound of a coin hit the ground. But there's nothing around. There's no coin that's dropped. You just hear the sound of a coin echo through your mind. And in front of you, a blue shimmering portal cuts into being. It's like Doctor Strange has opened up one in Marvel, if you will, but just a blue shimmering portal opens up in front of you. And through it, you can glimpse a sort of a rocky coastline, a beautiful cliff leading to a temple, and a mysterious enclave with a group of heroes. And your grand sort of just gives you a nudge and says,
Adventure beckons by the look of things.
And as you step towards the portal, do you do anything to Betty Sue, who sort of dropped her cucumber sandwich in the dust? And you step through the portal. And bam, we're back to real time. And we see, stepping through the portal is Calliope. Calliope, just describe yourself one more time as you come through the portal.
Yes, I am a tiefling with sort of like a dusty rose colour skin, brunette hair, curly horns, always carrying her pen ready to write down a good tale.
And as you step through the portal, you see a kobold just up the steps, looks up at you and frowns, and a group of adventurers in front of you.
Hello there. What's with the frown?
I don't think anyone popping out of random portals is ever a good sign.
Well, when a portal opens up, who's to say no to adventure?
And the portal snaps shut, closed behind you as you do that. And as that happens, we see someone just washes up on the beach, and someone sort of is sprawled out onto the beach near the docks. And we see Shane's character. Shane's character sort of staggers out of the water. Who did we see?
You see a stout-looking dwarven man. I guess you would assume it's a man, but who knows, being a dwarf. With a long, bushy brown beard, big, bushy brown eyebrows, and wearing a half plate of armor. And he looks very bewildered as to where he might be.
As you sort of stagger out of the waves, your beard's a bit mussed up by the water. You've got seaweed streaming out of your hair. You've clearly been in the water for a bit of time. crossbow bolt fires out, and the kobold up on the cliffs sort of freaks out and shoots their crossbow at you. Can you give me a... Just give me a D20.
Just a D20.
Hmm.
Me. Sorry, where do I roll? Just the standard dice down the bottom there? Yep.
Yeah, if you go down the bottom, there's a cube there that says game log and dice next to the game info one of the eye. Yep. So 15, no worries. Bugret brain strain flicks past this arrow, sort of jerking almost instinctively as the arrow flits past you. And you see the kobold up on the cliff in front of the other adventurers says, "Ah, undead adventurers, help!"
What? Who did that? What manner of creature? And I sort of stagger forward. So is the kobold standing with the other group of adventurers, or off to one side,
Yeah.
or
The kobold's
the
standing in
other-
front of the adventurers, and it sort of pulls on Vorgrim's cloak and says, "Big man, get in there! Slashy, slashy!"
You haven't paid me yet or hired me.
You there,
Yes, sir.
man? Control your imp.
It's not my pet.
Well, why is this creature here? Why is he firing crossbow bolts at me?
Oh, if you look over there, you might see a corpse, which was very animated a minute ago. It seems that undead wash up here every now and then. I think he mistook you for one of them.
I hate undead. Where are
Lila
they?
is she?
Let me at them.
Lila is female. You can tell from magnificent horn.
Wait, it's a girl?
Yes, Lila girl. Bright scales. Shiny horns.
Right. Interesting. Well, anyway,
Go ahead.
but never mind me. I'll shut up.
Lila turns to Lenora and sort of pulls on her cloak. Are you the same one of group? Are you nice lady?
If you want our assistance, why don't you take us where you need to go? Stop
Yes, let's go
shooting
see Elda.
people who are coming out of the sea.
Out of bolts anyway. Let's go see Elda. And
Right,
yeah,
Tight
Lila's
is
So
giving
not
us
I
a-
wet
walked into a very
distractless.
interesting group.
do you guys follow Lila up the cliff?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see as you follow up the cliff, as you get a good glimpse of her back, you see that she's a wing kobold. There are wings sort of tucked tightly against her back, and they're a bit injured. She sort of scampers up the cliff towards Dragon's Rest. And as you come up there, if you look at the map on D&D Beyond, you start moving up towards that star near A1. So you're going up the steps towards the star at A1. And you see a couple of things as your motley crew arrives. As you arrive at Dragon's Rest, your arrival sort of draws the attention of the entire population, and it seems to be mostly kobolds. The small reptilian folk eye you curiously, while a couple of humans watch from a distance. All of the residents of this cloister are dressed in fairly simple clothes. No one carries a visible weapon. And, the kobolds are pretty interested in you guys. They start chattering around you. Where are you from? What's that? Why are you here? You have shiny? And they just sort of quiet for a second as a new figure comes into view. She just sort of descends gracefully from the upper part of the cloister. She's an elderly human woman. She's weathered brown skin, white hair in tight braids, and sort of kindly hazel eyes. Simple white robe. She smiles as she draws near and extends her arm in greeting and says, "Welcome to Dragon's Rest. May Bahamut's guidance lead you to whatever you seek."
Aware of this island would be a good start.
Why would you
You
want
and me
off?
both.
I just arrived.
Dragon's Rest. How did I end up here? Last thing I remember, I was on that boat playing a game of not cards, playing playing a game of friendly chess. Not drinking, no, never drinking. And the next thing I know, I wash up on that beach. How did I get here?
I would like to know more about where here is. So, having just arrived, getting a little bit my head around the place. What is this Dragon's Rest you talk about?
Ah, yes. Well, this is Dragon's Rest, our tropical getaway, if you will. I am Elder Runara, and I must thank you for wrangling Lila down at the shores. She keeps some of the zombies at bay with her crossbow, but she can get a little trigger happy. But that's just her. She's adorable. Thank you for being kind with her. And you're welcome to stay here as long as you like at Dragon's Rest. There are a few monastery cells that are free for travelers. However, you may be here for some time, unfortunately.
Wait, why are we stuck here?
Not to come here.
Yes, well, the undead are a bit of a problem, a real thorn in my side, if you will.
Where do the undead come from?
Well, I actually wish I knew. They do come from the sea somewhere, but the sea is quite big, and unfortunately, they seem to have surrounded the island. I am not sure if you encountered some on your way in, but certainly whenever we try to leave, zombies stagger out.
All right, let's get this over with. Where's the nearest graveyard? It's always the nearest graveyard.
Graveyard. It's a good question. Look, I'll be honest with you. There's not a huge amount of residents here on the island. It's mostly me, the kobolds, and one or two humans. We don't really have a graveyard. We have a temple, but most of our dead are burned. I'll be honest with you. Pyres, ashes, that sort of business.
I suppose
Does
it does
sound
make
sense.
it harder for them to come back as undead if they're burnt. So I see your
The
logic
sea
there.
is the graveyard of Talos.
Isn't it just?
It is problematic on an island.
So how long have you been having this trouble with the undead?
Oh my, about 10 years. It's been frightfully complex.
And in all that time, nothing's been done?
Well, I've struggled to do anything. I keep these kobolds in check. I offer a bit of wisdom as I'm wont to do, but, I'm getting a bit old in years, and I simply don't have it in me to go gallivanting around fighting zombies. The kobolds are ferocious in packs, of course, but they can be... they're not dedicated warriors or an army. And, well, you saw what happens to ships that come nearby, I dare say.
Actually, I just arrived, so just blue portal.
Oh, you missed the big dramatic crash of the airship into the sea. Quite a sight.
Oh, rats! That would have made a wonderful addition to my story. Hang on, tell me a bit more about that. Start scribbling things down.
And you see, she says, but look, certainly, if you were willing to look into it, we would be very grateful if you could sort out this problem. We've been stuck here for 10 years. I don't mind myself. It's sort of my tropical retirement, but it would be nice if the kobolds could take ship and explore the world one time as they grow older. Certainly, Lila's chomping at the bit, getting a bit trigger happy, sort of cooped up here. But if you want to ask around the cloister, I'm sure some of the human residents might have jobs for you or be able to give you more information about their own downfall and how they arrived here. But the cells are yours to stay in, and you're welcome to have a look around the cloister. There's a few areas that might be of interest.
What happens when an ocean-faring vessel tries to leave the island? Is it always an undead dragon?
No, I think that's actually new. Generally, it's just a swarm of zombies, which are frightful in their own way. Quantity has a quality of its own, if you will. But the undead dragon, that's new. That's new to me.
A dragon? Every good story needs a dragon.
The dragon has some piercings after our visit.
What other manner of creatures do the undead consist of?
Look, it's mostly been zombies. Theoretically, I suppose anything could come out of the ocean, but all I've seen is zombies, and that's really all that staggers up onto our beach. But, now that there's an undead dragon in the mix, I guess all bets are off.
So these zombies, what were they before in life? Are we talking dwarf zombies, halfling zombies, human zombies, elven zombies?
Look, I haven't done a thorough examination of them. Generally, they're humanoid, but I haven't done a forensic exam. You'd be certainly welcome to. I believe there's one down there on the docks, if you wish. Or, did you see it stay on the docks, or did it scatter to its remains?
I think it was still down there. Last we saw.
If only someone
Saying
had
that,
the initiative to go loot the corpse.
why am I going to touch a rotten corpse? Well, in my very limited experience, most of the time it's not what the zombie was, but where it came from that's the problem.
This is why I'm asking what they were. It might give us a clue towards where they come from. If it's entirely dwarven, then maybe we look for them to the mines. If they're all other types of zombies, then maybe look somewhere else.
Hey, out of interest, does anyone have a passive perception greater than 12? So anyone with a passive perception of 13?
15.
Nope.
15.
11.
Okay. Kurgan, you're pretty perceptive, aren't you? Or are you... That's not
Yes. I think it's around 11 or 12.
And I'm a 10.
So
My
Lenora,
problem is I can't look at my character sheet right now.
I'll double check
Kurgan's
yours.
passive's 15, same as mine.
Okay, so Lenora and Kurgan are the only ones to clock this. You see one of the kobolds is reaching into Vorgrim's pocket and is pulling something out.
Wait. I grab
Lenora
I grab
smiles
at the
and lets him
Kurgan.
carry on.
And the kobold sort of looks up at you and is like, wasn't doing anything?
No, but share.
And you can see Elder Renara is like, oh, Blep, what will we do with you? And she sort of slaps his palm and a couple of gold pieces fall out. And Calliope, you notice that one of your gold pieces, you feel your gold pouch is a bit lighter and that Blep has actually been rolling very well on stealth while you guys have been chatting. But he was clocked as he approached Vorgrim. So you can take back the gold piece that fell. Vorgrim, you get yours back as well.
Thank you for your donation, but it seems a little light. Maybe you can donate more to the Church of Bane.
And Blep sort of looks over at another one and says, "Frub, go get your horde. We're in trouble." And one of the other kobolds is quite skittish, sort of skitters off the cliff face up towards, let's say, up towards the stairs that are leading up to A2. So you see Frub running off, Blep still looking guilty.
Okay, I'm very curious as to what's in a kobold's horde. This is interesting.
Does he mean horde as in a pack of kobolds? Or horde as in cash?
Yeah, I don't know, but let's follow him and find out.
It does sound fascinating. Let's go.
We're either fighting or looting, otherwise a good time is to be had.
And Elder Runara sort of nods at you and says, well, I'll be up in the temple if you have further questions, and Bahamut's blessing be upon you.
Adieu.
And you're free to follow Frub up towards A2 if you wish.
Yep.
I
it's,
definitely do.
chasing after pickpocket.
So as you pass up towards A2, you go past a statue. As you were sort of coming in, you glimpsed a temple with a statue in it. This is separate to that. So you see a long path leading up the rocky shore to the side of the cliff. Occasional stairs sort of ease the ascent, but they're sort of rough hewn. They're not, complex masonry. This is just chipping away at the natural stone. Here and there along the part of the path, there are well-tended garden plots. About 30 feet above the bay, it widens into a long plaza, and there's a stone statue of a dragon. This is again different to the temple, staring down the path. You walk past the cells, which are sort of the monastery cells. They're basically pallets, bunk beds, hostel, very simple accommodation. And also you come up towards A2, which appears to be some sort of winch house, a small freestanding building with a peaked roof and weathered wooden door. Sturdy wooden pallet wrapped with rope can be glimpsed through the door, and you see that's where the kobolds scampered to.
Not terribly impressed with this stonework. Obviously not dwarven.
Yeah, but better than kobold.
Is it better than kobold?
Yes, I've tried making a house out of dead kobolds. It doesn't work.
That does not sound structurally sound.
It wasn't hygienic either.
No, I bet.
You guys walk past the dragon statue. You're near a winch house. You can't initially see where the kobold went. What would you like to do?
Just going back to that dragon statue, does it look familiar? Like, does it look at all like the one that we saw in the sky?
Give me a intelligence arcana check, and this is not hard. This is DC 10.
That will be a 24.
Oh, yeah. Smashes it out of the park. So you know that this is a bronze dragon. You can see it's made of bronze. Looks like a bronze dragon. It's a member of the metallic family. And you know that in the general dragon scheme of things, there are chromatic dragons, which are generally evil. Some nuance there, but red, blue, green are not dragons you want to run into in the forest. And then there are good dragons, which are generally metallic, so platinum, brass, bronze, which are generally benevolent sort of creatures, although they're quite powerful in their own right. So you see it's essentially a bronze dragon.
But clearly not the one that was attacking the skyship.
Oh, no. You don't with the 24 see any sort of similarities to the undead dragon. It's hard to compare apples and oranges, but with the 24, you're pretty sure it's a different one just from the general proportions of the body compared to the bones you saw.
Is there any indication, is the dragon statue there for reverence? Do they, is this something that they kind of pray to or, celebrate, or is it just a decorative sort of statue?
It's hard to tell. You could make for me a check if you'd like. Kurgan has got most of what you'll get with a 24, I'll be honest. But just from sort of looking at the statue, it's hard to say. You can get that it's a bronze dragon, not much else.
No signs of worship underneath, like lit candles or offerings or anything like that.
No, you can't see any, at a quick glance, any offerings, candles, or sort of spiritual accoutrement.
Well, the architecture's lovely and all, but aren't we after some kobolds?
Yeah, just curious. Yeah.
Of course. It all makes for the environment of the story, but for now, we're on a mission, are we not? So try and listen out for if I can hear any kobolds yipping away.
Pretty sure he went into that winch house.
There's the winch
Just
house.
go check in there.
Yep. So you can make your way into the winch house. It's open air. There's no sort of dedicated door. You see the sturdy wooden pallet sort of attached with a rope and an iron chain going both ways. It sort of is built to lie flat against the cliff face, so you can imagine it go both down and up to the water, perhaps to deliver supplies or to aid getting goods up the steps if they're heavy.
Or
There's some
deliver
sort of lever
sacrifices
locking it
to
in place.
Umberlee.
Does it look
Anyone
like
who
it's
wants to
been
can make me a
recently-
perception check.
I think I got a 14.
I got a 14.
All right.
Sorry, passive perception?
Perception check
Active
for
perception.
roll.
Yeah, look, you can't see where the kobold went. You don't see much else. You see a lever locking the winch in place. You imagine that's used to work the winch, but you don't see where the kobold went.
Does it look like the winch is kind of been recently used? Like,
No,
is
it
in
actually
a-
looks fairly poorly used. Like there's this sort of rust or building up, and it's sort of, looks like a bit of stuff is built up in the chain, suggesting that it hasn't been used in a while.
Kurgan kind of experimentally tries to actually move the winch and see what happens.
Do you pull the lever or do you just push on the pallet?
He pulls the lever first.
Okay, you pull the lever. It starts to rocket downwards after breaking free, and you hear a kobold screaming from beneath the pallet. Ah! Me hoard! And you realize that, in fact, Brub was strapped underneath the pallet and sort of was being very stealthy. He rolled a 19. And you hear it sort of rocketing towards the water if you want to do anything.
Grab
I
for the
quickly
lever.
slam the lever back into place.
Okay, you slam the lever back, easy enough to do. You stop the pallet about a third of the way down. You do hear Frub go, "Oh no, me hoard!" And you see a single coin spin off the pallet and plunge into the water. And that's what you see.
I shout
So
down
we
at
have an
him.
interest-
Sorry, you go ahead first.
We have an interesting opportunity here. Do the zombies respond to all points of egress from the island or just the beach? Now, if this thing lowers down to the water, we can make a test of this.
Are you talking about dangling the kobold to see if zombies try and grab him? Are you talking about playing fishing for zombies?
Zombie fishing.
Sounds like a most excellent plan.
I see it's
Are
unanimous.
you
We agree.
people?
That is a good question, but this is a pretty interesting question. What do the zombies respond to?
I'm sure we can find out without using a living being, a sentient being, as bait.
And you see Ashling's also fairly disapproving of that. She's sort of just got her arms crossed and is like,
Okay, well, hang on. Is your opposition the sentient part, or is it the fact that the kobold's unwilling? We haven't asked him yet, but I'm assuming he's going to be unwilling.
Are you volunteering?
Actually, yeah, I am. I really want to see what happens.
Okay. That if you are willing to do so, I have no objections.
All right, let's see what happens when we fish for zombies. And I start winching the pallet back up.
okay, so you're winching it up, and the pallet comes back up towards you guys and comes up past where it was. And you see dangling from underneath, you see Frub, and Frub's sort of weeping openly. Frub's like, "Oh, me hoard."
It was one coin, mate. Get over it. And I pull him off the pallet and shove him to the side and then stand on it. Hey, Vorgrim, do you want to lower me down? A bit slower than that, thanks.
You're useful, though. Shouldn't we be lowering the kobold?
portal girl is opposed to it. Let's not create unnecessary friction at this time.
And
I
you do look like
And I want to see what happens.
That as well.
I lean over and I touch your shoulder, and there's a sort of bit of static and a smell of ozone, and you feel particularly confident. So that's guidance.
Oh, it's a weird feeling. Thank you. Now, Volgrim. Chop, chop, lower, lower.
You've got this, and I also give you a bardic inspiration.
As you wish. Is this an athletics check?
Yeah, look, what would this be? I will allow athletics unless there's some other thing you can pitch me.
Maybe sleight of
Survival, if you
hand
want, I suppose.
to control the liver.
Yeah, you can roll sleight of hand if you wish.
I think Volgrim's greatest strength is his strength. So I'll use my strength. My athletics, rather.
Okay. Give me an athletics. Okay, so you rolled 17. So you're doing pretty well. What does this look like, Volgrim?
Volgrim parks his greatsword on the platform adjacent to the pallet and the winch mechanism. Gives a cheery, respectful nod to Kurgan, and then hand over hand starts lowering the pallet with Kurgan atop it.
Okay. So as you're doing that, a figure comes up behind the rest of you and says, fishing for zombies, this takes me back. And you see a human in late middle age. He's pale-skinned, tan darker with many freckles, auburn hair, a beard that is mostly grey and grey-blue eyes. You see sort of faded tattoos in an abstract design winding their way up his neck, and you presume they extend below his dirt-stained robes, though you're not sure. And you see, worked into the tattoos, a gold hangman's noose. And he sort of peers over you.
Nice beard.
Name's Tarek. Beards are good.
Does zombie fishing work usually?
Yeah, depends who you ask. One time I caught a zombie that was this big. And he sort of extends his hands to maximum.
What makes the best bait?
I'm not sure. I'll be honest, I don't do a lot of fishing. I do more of the botanical work around here. I sort of tend the garden plots, flowers, herbs, and vegetables. Yeah.
I'm
So,
curious.
like, what actually happened?
Sorry.
Go on.
So,
I'm
Volgrim, are you
curious.
down in the water at this point? Or how far are you down? Are you?
I'm assuming that we didn't get all the way down, but I could be all the way down at the water if that's what's happened.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to roll something, but you lower it down to the water. The pallet is easily enough able to do so. As you hit the water, you're sort of hanging out. Not much is happening. Not much is happening. Do you want to stay there for a bit?
Nothing's happening, guys! It's getting boring down here!
You'll scare the zombies away.
Or attract them, perhaps. Maybe they're attracted to sound.
Or you could try chumming the water by cutting your hand and bleeding into the water.
With
No,
that,
thanks!
your ankle.
Yeah.
So you feel a zombie grasping at your
leans
ankle.
over and sends us claps
Oh,
her
wait,
hand
hang on, we got a bite!
down the shaft.
I'm gonna pull out my sword, my short sword, and try and hack at the zombie. We got one, guys!
You're free to do that. Would anyone like to pull him up, or just?
I'd like to
David?
start reeling him in. I want to see what we caught.
Okay. Can you roll for me I need a dexterity or sleight of hand, because this is like one of those claw machines in an arcade, and you're sort of trying to grasp something that is moving and doesn't want to come out.
Sorry, who's rolling the sleight of hand?
Look, I'll be honest. Either of you are involved. Why don't you give Kurgan the help action, Vorgrim?
And Kurgan's got D4 as well for both.
And he's
Beautiful.
got bad.
Thank you. Oh, do I use everything at once?
What do you say to inspire him, Calliope?
Well, when he was heading down, it's like, you got this. Don't let those zombies get you.
Okay, I rolled a natural 18, a 2 on the D4, a 2 on the D6, and I can't remember what I'm adding, but that's a starter of 22.
Okay. Look, that's easy enough. You
Plus
You know,
5
so-
for
yeah,
sleight of hand. So that's 27.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. So with that, I mean, we've all played one of those claw games in the arcade, right? You know, you've seen it go down, it grabs something, it clearly has it, starts swinging over towards the exit and drops on the way. That doesn't happen here. You see that it grabs, a zombie is hanging off, and it's swinging from side to side by some miracle of physics. As you come up, the zombie just hangs on and keeps swinging from side to side. So you have a zombie, it appears to be humanoid. This one does have elven ears, and you can see it's got the vest, a sailor's vest on, and you can see about that as the zombie swings wildly back and forth, still trying to take a bite out of Kurgan.
Oh, we got one.
We got one! I'm describing it as we're coming up. Look, it appears to be elven! It's wearing sailor's stuff! I don't know, this thing might tell us something! And then I'm going to try and, like, stab either my dagger or my short sword through its hand to try and pin it to the pallet.
Yeah, sure, go for it. As you guys sort of do this, I'm going to put a bit of pressure on. Every sort of 6 seconds, I'm going to roll a d20, which represents it attacking. So, you know, you guys do whatever you want. I'll take that into account. But there is going to be some time pressure here as the zombie continually tries to bite at Kurgan.
That was a natural 3, so I don't think I succeeded anything.
Can I help to bring him up a bit quicker?
Yeah, at this point, Kurgan's basically almost back up to the winch house. You guys are easily able to reel him in.
And are we in sort of attacking range?
Not quite for melee. You're maybe more than 15. You're about 15 foot. If you want to shoot, you could certainly do so. That's a 4 and a 3.
I'm going to
Well,
troll the
Kurgan.
dead.
Yeah, go for it. So that's
this
what's the DC on that?
Bell, like a ship's bell in a storm. So wisdom save.
Wisdom save. Is it DC 12? What's your wisdom save for that?
13.
13. Okay. Does pass 19. So it passes. Does it take half damage or nothing?
Nothing on a cantrip.
Okay. Oh, you're really lucky, Coden. This thing is rolling 4s and 3s like nothing else. But it's biting at you. Like, if you guys want to do something to get rid of it, you can pull it up on deck and try to examine it further. Another 3. This is terrible.
He's kind of holding it off with the short sword.
Telling it smells. Oops,
I'll take another swipe at it
How do I roll?
while it's coming up. That might hit 8 plus. I think my attack at the moment is +5, so that's 13 to hit.
13 to hit hits. Did you just crit, Lenore?
Yeah. That was
Yeah,
me.
natural
I
20?
whacked it with a mace.
Okay, with the natural 20, you brain this thing and it gets smacked, either unconscious or truly dead. You're not sure, but it stops trying to bite Kurgan.
Whew. I was getting uncomfortable. Oh, now I smell. Well, there you are, Clyde. Well, hang on, we didn't get your name earlier. I just realised that. But here you go. Here's your zombie corpse. We can see what kind of characteristics it's got.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, I'm going to check its pockets.
Check its pockets? Yeah, give me a investigation check.
It's a nat 2.
That too. Does anyone want to give him the help action? There's a bunch there.
Yeah, I'll give him the help action. I'll hold him still with my mace in his head.
Marginally better. I got a natural 8. I think it should give me a 10 or a 4 or a 12.
10. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, it's fairly easy, to be honest. Like, you're searching the pockets of an unresisting target. You find a couple of things. You find a ruined journal. So you find a ruined journal, and you can see this was, although it's a sailor's journal, it's not intended to be in the water for an extended period of time. You can see that the cover is waxed, and part of the cover has been preserved. And on the cover, you see a symbol of a silver crescent moon on a black background with a harp.
I knew it.
Oh, hang on.
Harper plots.
Well,
What
hang
does
on.
this have
I've
to do
seen
with
temples like this. What was that, Calliope?
I asked, what do musicians have to do with anything? Harpers.
You know what? We can come back to that. I'm pretty sure I've seen this symbol before in like temples or something. Lenora, do you recognize it? I'll show it to her.
Do I recognize it? Religion? History?
Yeah, give me a history.
Nope. 2.
You don't know what this is. As you thumb through it, Kurgan, you can see most of it has been ruined. That said, someone has made an attempt. There's only a very limited amount of space on the waxed area, and someone has actually carved into that a single message. And that message is 4 words, underlined multiple times. And it is, "Don't trust Mary Sue." All the other pages are ruined. You don't have anything else on there. You just have a sailor's outfit on the zombie and sort of a elven humanoid. You don't get much else.
Don't trust Mary Sue.
Isn't she the one who sells the toilet paper, the really good one?
Never trust Mary Sue. It's very good advice. Should listen to the zombie.
Her work has
Wait.
helped me out of a bind once or twice.
Someone help me here. I don't know who this Mary Sue is.
Oh, she sells the most ridiculous drivel you've ever seen.
And
I
you
swear
seem
her
very
books are
absorbing.
only good as toilet paper.
So, Calliope, you've met
Toilet paper?
Betty
What's
Sue?
toilet paper?
You've met a Betty Sue. You're not sure about Mary Sue. The last name's the
Oh.
same, but you've met a Betty Sue, and that's your rival from town. But you're not sure who Mary Sue is. There could be some relation. Anyway,
Well,
Tarek
I
sort of
mean,
looks at you all.
If they're
and
related,
says-
I won't be able to trust her either. Oh.
Tarek sort of looks at you, puts his hands in his pockets, and says, "Look, you seem like a capable lot. Tell you what, do you want to help me out with a problem around the island?"
What sort of problem's that?
Well, I normally go to the sea caves around the south side. I sort of do the botanical things here. The seaside caves on the south, they have a supply of heart-capped mushrooms, and I have to trade the myconid folk there in order to obtain them. But they're pretty good folk, they'll trade food, rations, generally anything in exchange for these mushrooms. Lately, though, there's been some sort of guardian at the front of their cave, and I just haven't been able to get there and get the mushrooms to make the potions I need. Some sort of octopus-like creature. And look, I mean, I'm capable, but I didn't do so well trying to get through last time. I just wondered if a group of you might have a better chance.
What happened when you attempted to get through?
I got hit in the face with a tentacle, I'll be honest. Nearly fell out of the boat. That's actually a good point. I've got a boat. You might need a boat. I'll sweeten the pot. You can use my boat for as long as you're on the island if you help me out with this.
I thought boats couldn't be used because of all the zombies.
That's a good point. So boats are able to be used in the shallows with minimal risk. Not zero, as you'll see from the tentacle to the face I took, but boats who stay in the shallows can often avoid the zombies. Not always. It's kind of roll of the dice. You could get to the caves by walking overland if you wanted. You could get, it'd be a bit of a trek, but you'd get there. Walking through the island is not without its own risks. There are wild animals, and there's a pack of rowdy kobolds out there who don't do so well with the inhabitants of the cloister. But I think there was even a circus that crashed on the rocks a while back. Some things might have got out of that. Anyway, you could walk across the island. You could take the boat in the shallows and just sort of fend off the occasional zombie. Just like hitting fish in a barrel, I suppose. To you guys, I saw how well you pulled that routine.
And this tentacle-faced guardian. Anyone know what kind of creature that might be?
So Tarek's not sure. You can roll me a hard check, but you're basically limit. You know this is something with tentacles, but you don't really know much more. You can get a list of tentacle-based monsters that are.
True. We might be able to make some calamari afterwards. Might not need the mushrooms.
I don't know. Calamari and mushroom sounds pretty good.
What kind of check would you want to try and work out what the kind of creature this is?
You can give me a nature check or a history check.
I'll try for a history. Dirty 20.
Yeah, you would know that something crops up in your brain. You hear the word myconid, and you know those are mushroom folks, are sort of humanoid mushrooms. You heard him say that it was something with tentacles. You think of octopi, you think of mero, or sort of half squid, half humanoid creatures. It doesn't sound like a mind flayer or something like that. It sounds like something that primarily has large tentacles that it uses to propel itself through the water. You also know that occasionally myconids might use sort of funguses to help creatures see their way to do their bidding.
These zombies that have been washing up, they don't look like reanimated fungal myconid creations, do they?
No. And in fact, until recently, the myconids have been fine. Like, the zombies have been here for 10 years. It's only the last week or two the myconids have been causing a problem.
Do you trade with the myconids, or do you just take their mushrooms?
Oh, yeah,
And
they'll
are
take
the
most things in
mushrooms
trade.
they're young?
God, I hope not. As far as I know, they're not. I'm pretty sure, we use they're called heartcap mushrooms. They're used in a lot of things, but generally they're not myconid young, unless they've been running a long con on me.
So what sort of things have you been trading with the myconids? What could they possibly be needing from you?
Oh, everything. I mean, I give them food, rations. Like, they live in a cave. It's harder for them to get to basic meats and trail mixes. I'll give you some now. And he hands you a bag. It contains various assorted trail mixes, rations, a decent supply of such that you could trade a hefty quantity of for, or you can keep for yourself at your discretion.
And what's our
It's an
reward for
island.
undertaking this task?
Well, you could probably use my boat. I don't have a lot of gold, but it would allow me to keep making the things I make with the heartcap mushrooms. That'd be useful, I suppose. But you don't have to. I mean, feel free to explore the rest of the cloister. I'll continue with my gardening. I've always got plenty of that to do.
What do you make with the mushrooms?
Potions of healing. They're a common ingredient in potions of healing.
Oh, see, there's your reward there, Vorgrim. I mean, potions of healing always come in handy. Not everything is about gold.
Tell you what, if you can get it back, I'll give you 2 potions of healing. Quality will be variable depending on the quality of the mushrooms you're able to obtain. But I'll give you 2 potions of healing if you can sort out what's going on.
I mean, potions aren't cheap, and I don't think we're going to get a lot of medical care around here, so sounds like a good deal.
I agree.
Also, I want to see the tentacle monster.
Yeah,
I also
suspect that
agree.
doctors are pretty scarce in these parts.
And Tarek sort of nods at you and starts to wander off to tend to his gardening. He sort of takes Frub with him, who's a bit traumatized, and Frub sort of weeping about his lost hoard. And Tarek sort of reaches down and pats him on the shoulder. You can see he sort of points out that there's a few other things in the cloister if you want to have a look. There's a common kitchen at A3. At A4, you see a library, limited library, obviously, but library. And at A5, there is the temple you would have seen on approach, not the dragon statue you saw below, but the a full dedicated temple. So
I obviously put one of my books in a private place in the library so everyone can enjoy.
So you approach the library, Calliope?
Yes.
Okay. Is anyone with her, or are you going to do that by yourself?
I don't know if anyone else is going to join me, but
Because you're welcome to split
along.
party at this point if you guys want, or you can just stick together.
As Frupp wanders off, I'd like to slip him a couple of silver pieces.
Frub nods gratefully and sort of says to you, "I'll put in good word with a trio," and runs off.
Okay.
So Calliope's going to the library. Does anyone want to go with her? Does anyone want to split off to look at the temple or the kitchen?
I'll come along to the library. I want to know if there's any more of those books from Harper's potentially scheming to destroy the island with their undead. Clearly, they're responsible.
Okay.
I
Okay.
still don't know what you have against musicians.
I think it'd be good if we all stayed together at this point in time.
Okay. Are you guys staying together, or are you running off? Lenora, Kurgan?
No, I'll stay.
No, I'll stay with the group.
Okay. You guys trundle into the library. You see it's a relatively humble library. This is not a big city. This is just accumulated wares from ships that have traveled by. You do have access to a few books here if you want to spend some time searching. You're welcome to make some investigation checks if there's anything. Just give me a focus target you're looking for. As you're doing that, do you guys want to investigate separate topics?
Yeah, with that book we recovered off the sailor, does it have a library card with the name of people who previously took it out of the library?
You can roll me an investigation check. What does everyone else want to look into?
I want to see if there's any books about the history of the island.
Yep. Anything else, guys?
I'd look at anything to do with storms, weather, that sort of thing.
Okay.
I'll go for the obvious and see if there's any info about zombies and how they're made and where they come from.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be looking at, I guess, more the local geography to sort of like see, okay, well, we've got this island. What else is around it that these zombies could be coming from to the island?
Okay. I'm just reloading the D&D Beyond portal. It's just timed out. Just flicking you guys a new link in StreamYard. So, Lenora, we'll resolve yours first. You sort of split off to a section of the library and you wanted to look at, remind me again, what were you looking at?
I'm looking at storms, anything to do with like the weather, shipwrecks, that sort of thing.
Okay. Was that the 2 you rolled?
Yeah, I'm not a book person.
Okay. So you're looking for stuff on storms and weather and such. And as you're doing so, you don't find much in the library about storms or weather. What you do find, though, is the mysterious figure in the trench coat does approach you, and they're accompanied by a sort of a muscular human with black hair cropped close to the scalp. The human has light brown skin with a lot of scars, one which run below her left eye, which is milky and blind, and has a prosthetic wood and metal leg on the right leg, just below the knee. And both of them come up to you, and the first one, the human, says, "Name's Varnoth. Heard you knew. A trio here wanted to have a chat." And the person in the coat and hat sort of nods at you, sort of says, I am a trio. I am premier adventurer of this island. If you go questing, I will be happy to provide assistance. And you can't see much of this figure. They're sort of covered up, but they seem happy to help. Varnoth sort of nods at you again.
What sort of assistance do you provide?
Varnoth crosses her arms and says, "Atreo's a decent sort, good with a crossbow. I'm not here to help much, but I wanted to meet the new adventurers. I do a bit of the carpentry around here, and I'm a mason by trade. Just thought I'd mention, if you do go exploring, there's a bunch of ships that have crashed to the north of here. And the first one, the Compass Rose, that crashed to the north. Be curious to see what happened there."
An unusual crash?
Yeah, here's the funny thing. So I sit in the temple and I fix things. The ships often change course in a fashion that doesn't make sense. They'll swing out of the way of the normal track and crash into the rocks. It doesn't make any sense. And look, I'll be honest with you, I'd love to be able to get off the island, but, zombies.
Zombies from the grave of Talos. So something around here is redirecting the ships.
Could be, yeah. Atreo nods and says, "Yes, this seems like a job for Atreo, the premier adventurer of Dragon's Rest."
Excellent. And what have you achieved so far? Do you have a curriculum vitae?
And you can see the Atreo reaches into a pocket and pulls out like a little sheet. It's got a list of things just handwritten on it. It's just got Atreo written in their own writing up the top. And it says Explorer of the Winch House, and also famed adventurer of the jungle wilds inside Stormwreck Isle. And it also has written on there, crossbowman extraordinaire.
And how many zombies have you felled personally?
And then he taps a little subtext at the bottom of the resume, and on it, it says, it's just got a cross of 4. So 4 sort of dashes.
Oh, quite competent. Very good.
So Varnoth's going to just sort of nod at you, and sort of, you get the impression she's not much for words. She sort of wanders off. Atreya sort of hanging around you. While that's happening, let's go to Vorgrim next. Vorgrim, what were you looking into?
I was going to try and use the books. If the book has a library card, I was going to try and identify potential Harper sympathizers amongst the community.
Yep. And is that a natural 20 or a dirty 20?
My skill bonus is +0, so I assume it was a natural.
You got to respect it, don't you? With a natural 20, there's not a lot about Harpers here in this library, right? Like, they're a famous organization. You know them as sort of essentially spies for good in the general common parlance, at least. That's the general belief amongst the common population. You do turn up a very old ship ship record. So there were ships that came back and forth to Stormwreck Isle, right? Like they didn't keep extensive records. It's not a major commerce port. We do find an old shipping record, and on that you find the compass rose about 10 years ago, and you find under that in sort of the signatures, you see something that could very well be the name Mary Sue signed as sort of the ordering party, not the person captaining the ship, but the sort of person who would have communicated that there's a ship coming with goods. So you think that's what you find with a 20. We'll move on. Tristan, what were you looking into again? You got a 20 as well. Is that a natural 20?
Did I roll?
I've got a
It's
20.
Calliope.
Oh, it's Calliope,
20.
sorry.
Oh, that
Okay,
was
Calliope,
from
let's-
earlier. I haven't actually rolled for the looking in the library yet. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
that-
Give me an investigation check.
Yep. Oof. I suddenly have a stroke and go blind.
Yeah, you don't find much. Kurgan or Shane, what do you guys find? What are you looking for? Bagrit rolled a 14. Okay. What were you looking into again? You were looking into zombies.
Looking into sort of how they're born, I guess, or how they died and were reanimated, and where they may have come from.
Yeah, so you find a few things with the 14. You find like a general adventurer's guide. It's not purely devoted to zombies, but you have general information. You find that zombies are often drawn to sites of dark events. So dark events draw dark tidings, draw zombies. A necromancer might rise them. So a specific wizard, you might find them at cursed locations or surrounding dark rituals drawn in ambiently. And that's sort of what you find with a 14.
Okay.
Calliope. Oh, yeah, you got a 6.
I rolled a nat 1. That's what I was saying. I suddenly had a stroke and went blind. Yeah.
Kurgan?
I was looking into history of the island, and I got a natural 18. Sorry.
Okay. With a natural 18, you find sort of a documentation of the island, and you know that Elder Runara has been here for some time. You can find references to her building some of the dragon statues, or being the original person who built the dragon statues in the temple. That well predates the 10-year threshold for the Compass Rose arriving about 10 years ago. You know that Stormwreck Isle. You know that Stormwreck Isle is named so recently because of the ships that have crashed nearby. But it was originally a site of some interest for dragons, and that originally older dragons did rest here until some great battle forced both sides away. So some battle between both good and evil dragons.
Hey guys, this place used to be some kind of dragon rest spot. Yeah.
Well, that would be where the name comes from, I guess.
I guess so.
Okay. So we've probably got maybe 10 minutes of game time left, so not a lot. We've sort of dug around the library. You guys can have a look around the temple if you wish, or the kitchen.
Temple would be good.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, you have potential avenues you can explore. You know there is an issue with secret caves. You know there is an issue with the shipwrecks and the Compass Rose to the north. You know that the Compass Rose is shipwrecked in the water, so you can only reach that by boat. But you could potentially go overland for the Seagrow Caves issue. What would you like to do with the last 10 minutes?
Where are the caves in relation to the shipwreck at the north?
I will pull you up a map. So in D&D Beyond, you will see a map of Stormwreck Isle. And this is something that's sort of just up on the wall in the library. You can see that there is, to the southwest, Secret Caves. Dragon's Rest is sort of to the north end of the island, and to the north of that is the wreck of the Compass Rose in a sort of chain of islands. Down to the southeast, you see something marked called the Clifftop Observatory, which you haven't heard much about. And you imagine that would be the most difficult to get to slightly.
Does this library have a librarian at all?
Yes, one of the kobolds pops out. This one has a funny hat and says, "What you look for? You have a library card?"
No, but I would love to get one, thank you.
Okay, fill out paperwork. And you just see a sheet of vellum that slides across, and it says name and then kobolds, yes or no, and then that's it.
Calliope, no. There you go.
Okay. The librarian in the funny hat looks at it and says, "Why you know like kobolds? You know get library card."
No, I'm not a kobold. I don't mind kobolds. I thought it was if you were one.
No library card for you. And then the kobold ducks under the desk and disappears.
How rude.
Hang on, if it's that simple. Oi, kobold.
And then the kobold pops back up and says,
Yeah,
"Kobold has name.
I'd also
Kobold
like
is
a
Mumpo.
kobold is what?
Kobold's name is Mumpo."
Right, Mumpo. I would also like a library card. May I please apply?
And you can see the kobold pulls out another sheet of paper, and it says, name and kobolds, yes or no.
All right, Kurgan, and then circle yes.
Kobold pulls it back, looks at it, says, "You're not kobold."
No, but I absolutely love them, completely and dearly. I'd be one if I could be.
You see the kobold just sort of taps on the desk with one finger and sort of looks away, just tapping with one finger, like, just sort of waiting for something.
Oh, really?
A copper coin.
So the kobold, did someone give him a coin?
Like a copper, like the lowest denomination possible, but yes.
The kobold takes it reverently and stashes it in its pocket, and then takes another sheet of vellum and writes on it. And splits it in two and writes "Big Kobold," and just writes a library card under that and slides it to Kurgan, and then takes another one and writes "No like kobolds," library card, and sends that to Calliope.
Thank you. And I also take one of my books, I sign just inside the cover and go, "Donation for the library."
Kobold takes it. Scurries off.
I already gave him a bloody donation.
Of course, but that was a bribe. This is a donation.
The kobold comes back briefly and looks at the cover again and says, "You know Big Dragon?"
Big dragons make the best stories. Do you
The
know any
kobold is
stories about
contemplating.
big dragons?
"Oh, yes. Ask Elder Runara. She told a good story about dragons.
Why, thank you. Where would I be able to find her?
Usually at temple. Do you have library card?
You just gave me it.
Please show." Do you show the library card?
Yeah, you just hold it up. You just gave me it.
And Mumpo takes it up, has a look at it. Says, "This fake. See? Just name and library card."
Well, what does a library card actually look like? Can you show me one?
Sorry, library closed, and Mumbo puts a sign up on the library desk and sort of scatters off.
That is the worst librarian I think I've ever come across.
Okay. Is there anything else you guys would like to do in the last few minutes?
All right. Well, what do we plan on doing? Are we going to go check out the cave? Or, I mean, this other guy wants us to check out the, what was it called? The ship? The Rose something?
Wreck of the Compass Rose.
Yeah. I mean, there's that.
Although the caves are
It'd be
further
worthwhile
away.
going to the temple and seeing that Bruno
Mm.
person as well.
Although the caves are further, it would give us a boat.
Yeah, the fellow who wanted us to go to the caves, he will lend us his boat, and in return we can also get some healing potions, which may make going to the wreck a bit more safer.
And Tarek sticks his
Does
head in the
seem
door and
sensible.
sort of throws you a set of keys. He says, "Bring it back in one piece." And you get the impression that he's happy for you to sort of take your time doing other quests first if you need, and that both quests might be able to be done first. That it would be fine.
All right. Well, I say we should probably go to the temple because it's right here. But after that, I think, getting some health potions might not be a bad idea. Also, this Compass Rose thing, you said it's out in the ocean. Well, we know the ocean's filled with zombies, so maybe we give ourselves a bit of a time to acclimatize to the island first. That's my thoughts, anyway.
And you can see over in the corner, Lucci is currently playing cards with a Treo, and just nods at you and is like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable plan.
I introduce the principal investigator to the rest of the team. Hand over his vellum CV and go. Apparently, there is a seasoned and experienced zombie killer here offering service.
"I am a Treo. Zombies killed my father. They shall prepare to die."
I'm so
Is a
sorry,
trio
Pete.
rough? Is a trio roughly the same height as 3 kobolds stacked atop each other in a trench coat?
You can roll for me an investigation check. Yeah, about that height, roughly. You know, a lot of things are, but roughly.
Right. Okay. So zombies killed his father. He's killed. Looking at that piece of paper, he's killed literally an infinite number of more zombies than I have. So yeah, welcome aboard. I guess. Right. Any other business to attend to in here? Oh, Vorgrim, if you see that kobold again, can you whack him for me?
And you see Mumpo sticks his head in, and he's changed his hat to a red hat this time. He was wearing a green hat before. He says, "Dinner nearly ready," and ducks back out. And you get the impression he wears a different hat for different roles.
I say
wonder
we
what they
clear
call
out before the kobold tries to service kobold food.
Okay. If of the two quests, does one take your flavor as a decision before we end the session?
I was thinking the caves because, as I sort of said earlier, it may, it will help us get some healing potions that may make any further adventures a bit more safe.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds reasonable.
A tentacle monster sounds fascinating.
That too.
What could possibly go wrong with a tentacle monster?
And with that,
We're the
you
wrong
guys
demographic
have-
for that one.
And with that, you guys have options. You have quests. You have possible things to investigate that may reveal more about Stormwreck Isle and how you ended up here. You are joined by new companions, both Calliope, who arrived in a mysterious portal, Atreyo, the premier adventurer of Dragon's Rest, and Bugry, who we're still not sure how he ended up on the shore. Funny that. And with that, you guys will prepare to explore Segro Caves and find out what's going on with the Myconid folk on the next episode of Doctors and Dragons. Hey, TTRPG tribe. If you like what we're doing here, feel free to give us a rating or a review to spread the message of doctors having a life outside medicine, of the good value of having some creative hobbies for burnout avoidance, and also just the good fun of rolling some dice with friends. We are not a medical advice podcast, and we feature a range of doctors from medical students through to doctors in training and, of course, fellow consultants. We record this podcast on a range of locations throughout Australia. We recognise the traditional owners of the land, and we pay respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging.